1.
Welcome back to video 2 of the Creating a Design Process app tutorial. We're ready to go ahead and explore our Ask and Explore page. So over here in the drop-down, we want to go to the Ask Explore page. And if you remember from my app worksheet, I want to have a description of the Ask and Explore stages here so that someone who's using this app understands what they're supposed to do during a STEM project when they are asking and exploring at the beginning of their project. Underneath that, we'll put a picture and then a home button. So let's start with that label. You can type whatever you want here, whatever makes sense to you. I'm going to go ahead and type something like this. In this stage, you will ask questions about the problem and think about what you already know, and you will also explore available materials and brainstorm ideas for solving the problem. Now, obviously, that's a lot of text I just wrote, and it may not be perfect. I may go back and change that and decide that I don't want that particular wording, and you have time to figure out if that's what you really want it to be or not. You'll notice a problem already with what we've done here. I've typed some text, and it looks like it doesn't fit on the screen. I have good news for you. Whenever you test your app, that text will actually adjust and will wrap itself and will kind of fill down in this area a little bit. So that's what you have there. Now, for a picture, we want to look for a picture that kind of represents asking and exploring. The way we do this is we can drag over this image block. It's not going to be a picture, it's just a placeholder for now. And then if you look at the properties, this is highlighted so I know I can look at the properties over here. I need to upload an image. Well, before I can upload an image, I have to find one that I want to use. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open a new tab. We're going to type in images.google.com. Really important though, we're not just going to type in a search here. We're going to go down to these settings and click advanced search. The reason for that is we want to make sure that we're using pictures that are copyright friendly, pictures that are okay to use in a project like this, and we're not stealing someone's image that doesn't want us to use it for this purpose. So we can go ahead and type in this advanced search page, we can type in what we're trying to do. Think of words that might help. Like you could type in question or ask or explore. I'm going to type in the word think because I'm trying to find a picture of someone thinking with like a bubble, like a thought bubble above their head. So I'm going to type in think, and then I'm going to scroll down here, and this is what's really important about this feature in Google Images. Under usage rights, you can click on this drop down and say free to use or share. You can pick this one, just plain free to use or share, because we're not going to be selling these apps. If you were, you would want to do free to use or share, even commercially. All right, so I'm going to look at some of these. You know what I like? I like this picture right here. I think that would look good in an app. So I'm going to open it a little bit. I just clicked on it once, and then I'm going to right-click with my mouse and say Save Image As. Once you save the image, you can rename it to something like Think, or whatever you want to rename it as. You could put your name if you want. And notice it's going into my downloads folder. So I'm going to click Save. Then I'm going to go back to Thunkable and click over here to that Upload File button, and then I'm going to choose my file. I'm going to find it where I just downloaded it. I'm still in my downloads folder. If you're not, you may need to look in one of these options like desktop or downloads to find your picture, but it will probably be there. Once you click OK, you have to do it twice actually. There you go. So the picture, that's pretty big. If you want to change the size, you can look at the properties over here under height and width. I like to use the percent because it's just kind of easy to think about that. Like if I wanted 50% height and 50% width, I could kind of make that a lot smaller. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it just like that. So the only other thing we need to add to this page is a home button that goes back home. So we should remember this from the first video. We're going to drag a button over. We're going to change the text on it down here to say home, and then we need to code it. If you remember, you go into blocks and you go to button 1. When button 1 is clicked, we want to open another screen, grab a text box out of the text section, and this one is actually called Screen 1. It's not home, it's called Screen 1 over here, so that's why we put Screen 1 in the text box. All right, so let's look at the designer again. We have all the elements we want, and we are actually going to repeat that exact same thing, not for the next page. Let's talk about what each of these screens are going to look like. That's the Ask and Explore. For my Plan and Create screen, I have an idea to put a sketch pad there for people who want to sketch their apps or sketch their ideas out inside the app. So we're going to actually do that in the next video. So I'm going to skip that for now and go to my screen 4. This is still my screen 1. My screen 4 is almost identical to Ask and Explore, except we're talking about testing and redesigning and putting a picture in there. So I want you to go ahead and repeat everything we just did on the test and redesign page. So go to test and redesign, drag a label over. This would be the explanation for test and redesign. Again, you're going to type something here. For now, I'm just going to put describe test and redesign. You're going to actually type something in there that explains to someone doing a STEM project what it means to test and redesign. You're going to look for another picture. You can actually stay here because this has a drop down now that says labeled for non-commercial reuse. So you can stay here and you could do something like engineer. And I think I want a kind of more of a clip art image to match that first one that I had. So I'm going to add the word clip art, and I'm going to grab a picture. I'll do what I did before, save image as. I'll retype it, maybe engineer, click save, go back to Thunkable, go to the image component, drag that over, go over here to the picture, upload the file that we want, and I want the engineer picture there. And what do we need still on this page? Pause the video and talk about it with somebody. What do we still need on this page? All right, did you figure it out? We need a button. Where's this button going to go? It is going to go back home. So we'll drag a button over. In the properties, we will change the text to say home. And we will now code it in the block section. Again, button 1. This should feel really familiar now. Button 1, when it's clicked, we control it by saying we want you to open another screen. We grab a text box, and we call it screen 1 because we want it to go home. Now, you can actually test these two screens by doing the following. So over here, I'm going to actually start at screen 1. I'll put it back here on my very first screen. Over here, you have your tablet available with a Thunkable app downloaded on it. Get it ready, and then click on Test and Thunkable Live. So this QR code you'll scan with your tablet, and then you will be able to navigate in between screens 1 and Ask and Explore and Test and Redesign, and your buttons should work going back and forth between all those screens. If there's a problem, fail forward, troubleshoot, figure it out, and I will see you in video 3.